Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So this is the start of a very exciting tutorial series that I will be naming Star Stable Dressage Explained. I will be deep diving into a whole tutorial series and outlining everything you need to know from basic beginner to how I create my clubs' routines. So I will be grouping this tutorial series into fundamentals that I think everyone should know, and before we start with any moves or anything, these are the core concepts that you will be needing to grasp any basic move and advanced move. So once you've covered the fundamentals, we'll move on to beginner moves, then intermediate moves, then advanced moves. I do not cover elite moves as this is a community created category and it's very variable from person to person. So the top class that we also teach within the club is advanced, and this is all our own moves, SSD moves, other clubs' moves. It's a mixture of stuff that we find fun to do that is a combination of a bunch of stuff combining in. And once you have finished with the advanced course, we will move on to routines. We'll do a deep dive and behind the scenes of how do we create routines and everything that I've learned with creating routines and what to look for. And yeah, so that is the outline of this tutorial session, and I hope you find it very useful. So let's dive right into today's topic. It's going to be a bit more speechy and a less showy, and we will be focusing on fundamentals. So down in the description, you will find a link, whether it's going to be a Google Docs or it's going to be a Google Drive link where you can download the documents. I have compiled documents with stuff that I've created to help and aid this tutorial series with visual diagrams as well as descriptive text in there. So the first document you want to have open is your fundamentals document, and I will be pulling up diagrams on screen as well and talking from there. So the fundamentals is broken up into two sections. It's your normal fundamentals and then it's your gaps and alignments. The fundamentals is broken up into 5 parts: the outside track, usage of the arena, commanding, lining up, and screen delay. So let's dive right into topic 1, the outside track. So you can't start dressage if you have no clue on where you should be riding. The full arena is shown in blue, and that's the full, when you put on your dots at the rake, when you enter the arena, that's all the dots literally on the outside that you can go to, and you want to ride straight in the middle of these dots. And then the shortened version is when you cut across on the corner letters. So if I want to cut across on the shortened arena, that would be cutting across from F to K, and I would turn straight down the middle of these lines and go straight to K right there. If I'm going to use the full arena, I would pass F and I would use the full outside track. Ooh, I overshot it a bit there. Straight down the middle of these dots. Once I get to the corner dot, I'll turn back on. And you're going to repeat this on all 4 of the corners. Okay, so now we're moving on to usage of the arena. The arena is split down the center and the midline. So your center line is your longest line. It's the line that runs from A to C. It's the line shown in white. And your midline is the shorter line. It's the line that's running from B to E, and it's shown in blue. These are the lines that are used during a cut mid, which will make to do a 90-degree cut onto these midlines or center line, but that will be shown later on. Now that you know where to ride and what you're looking out for, you need to actually get people moving. You want to have those horses running around. So there's multiple phrases that is used to command, but the phrase that we use with an SD is to call a move twice and add a pre-go. So the full sequence would sound move set, pre-go. So the reason we repeat the move twice is so that the riders can be sure that they have heard the move clearly, that I'm speaking clearly, and that they know it's coming. Pre means prepare, so it's just a timing word to make sure I'm just not giving a go and they're reacting. I want them to anticipate, to know when the go is going to come rather than guessing when the go is going to come, and that's why we use the pre. Remember to always go on go unless stated otherwise. From here on, you can line your people up from happiest to slowest. So highest level, happiest horse always in front, with people that have sad horses and are low level at the back. Highly recommend if people have sadder horses or are extremely a lower level, they can always wear horseshoes, where the rest of the line shouldn't wear any horseshoes, so that the slower people can have a stat advantage so that they can be faster and keep up with the rest of the line. Then our biggest thing in Star Stable Dressage, everything revolves around screen delay. So this is the reason we created fundamentals. If you do not understand screen delay, you do not understand why we use gaps and alignments. Screen delay, as defined by Wikipedia, says it refers to the latency or lag between the signal sent to the display and when the display starts to show that signal. So basically what happens is I have an input on my screen. Let me move I have an input, so if you can hear my keyboard clicks, I am walking, and then I'm going to press my D key, and you can see me immediately turn on my screen. So there is no lag between this. No lag to my naked eye, no lag between when I press my D key and when my horse starts turning. But there is a lag between when my input from my keyboard gets transferred to the servers at Star Stable, and that signal from Star Stable is sent to my friends' screens. So basically what's going to happen with screen delay, you will always appear ahead and in front of your friends. So if I'm going to better explain this, if we're doing a dressage move and you're going to ask me to turn, I would start moving ahead on my screen. But in reality, I would actually move in time with the rest of the people because of the screen delay. Because what I'm seeing is basically you're seeing into the future. You start turning before you start turning on other people's screen. And that's a super important concept because this is the reason why we put the gaps in the alignments. And you'll see now because screen delay is affected also with the gait you're riding. So that's also another reason why Trot is such a nice gait to ride in. It has a little bit of screen delay, but not as much as you would go into full gallop. So full gallop, in reality, I'm actually way back there, like here. I'm running there in full gallop, and that's quite scary. So that might actually happen if you're doing a championship and on your screen you're first, but when the results come out, you're actually like fifth, and that is screen delay. Now we're going to be moving on to gaps and alignments. So let's start with gaps. Gaps is the spacing between you and the riders around, in front, behind you. Usually, we refer to gaps as the person riding in front of you. You are relative to them and you're comparing yourself to them or either to the line leader, depending on what is used. There's a few common gap types, gap sizes that is used depending on the situation, the gait, a lot of different things. So let's dive right in. The first is NTT, nose to tail. It's commonly used when riders are lining up, when halted, and riders must ensure that their horse's nose touches the horse's tail in front of them. So if you are riding like this will not appear like this. If you're riding like this while you are trotting, and on your screen, your horse's nose is touching the tail in front of you, to all the other people around you, you would not be touching the tail. You would actually be in trot a half a horse behind. In reality, to the instructor that is looking at you. So the instructor might tell you to catch up into, a bit of tighter gap. But on your screen, you thought you were fine because you were riding an NTT, and that's where you want to be riding on the instructor's screen. But screen delay causes you to, like I said, see into the future. So that's why you would actually need to be more ahead than the place you wish you want to be. From NTT, moving a bit more forward, you get overlapping tail or OT. So OT is commonly used for beginner riders or if you require a larger space for a move between riders. The gap alignment is riders must ensure that their horse's front hooves are inside the back hooves of the rider in front of them, all the horse's nose should be touching the back of the saddle of the rider in front of them. So that is where OT is, and that is where to look out for and to continue riding like that in line. Moving more forward, you get halfway inside. This is the standard gap size in the dressage community. Most people use this. You're basically cutting the horse in front of you in half while in trot or canter or whatever gait you're moving in. You constantly want to be cutting the person in half in front of you to ensure that you're actually NTT on the instructor's screen. Isn't that amazing? When trotting. And then you get fully inside. This is a very difficult gap size as it requires complete rider anticipation. It is mostly used during advanced routines, and it's super tight, super clean if you can pull it off, but I definitely do not recommend for beginners to use fully inside as a gap size. From here on, we get half a horse and full horse. So we do half horse and full horse gap. Half a horse basically means that riders must ensure that they're able to fit half a horse's length between themselves and the rider in front of them, and a full horse means you want to squish a whole horse between you and the person in front of you. So these gaps are majorly used when you want to create these big gaps for a move, or you're in a circle and you want to really expand and fill the gaps. Then you'll use half a horse or full horse. Half a horse is also used in split line work as you're pretending that the person is in front of you because you're splitting them in half. So technically there's only half a horse left, but we'll get onto that in alignments. From here on, we're moving on to alignments. It's very important that you ensure that you understand the difference between gaps and alignments. Alignments are used during certain movements. They are different to gaps because you only use alignments at specific times. You get comb alignment, which is nose under tail. So it's different to nose to tail. It's nose under tail. So it's the most common alignment you will find. You'll hear people talking about. And basically, it comes down to what is a comb. You first need to understand that a comb is a 90-degree cut. And what the comb alignment does is it matches all the riders in line. It allows them to ride next to each other on the instructor's screen. You will never ever ride next to the person on your screen. You will always be ahead of them. If you are nose under tail, if you are basically that horse gap in front of the line leader, that means you are actually right next to them on the instructor's screen, and that creates a perfect comb alignment, which I'll show some examples of. I won't say it's perfect, but you can get the idea. From here on, another beginner alignment is staggered or waterfall alignment. So why is it referred to as waterfall and staggered? So waterfall alignment happens after you perform the move waterfall, or we call it staggered alignment as it creates the staggered pattern. So what I like to call it preferably is I call it pretend HI, because you're still riding halfway inside the person in front of you, except the rider that was directly riding in front of you is just to the left or to the right of you. So you're pretending to cut them in half, which makes them on your screen ride right behind them, which can create some pretty cool effects and patterns if you combine these with very nice moves. Thank you so much for watching this video. I sincerely appreciate it. Congratulations, you've completed your first fundamental video. This is all the theory and the basics behind Star Stable Dressage, and in the next video we will be covering all the fundamental movements. On what you can expect for the next video is we will be covering the fundamentals of curls and combs and curl overs and pivots and halts and all of those things that you can use to build up a lot of other stuff. So I really sincerely hope to see you in the next one. Please remember to hit that like and subscribe, and have a great day further. Bye!